The final battle began not with explosions or laser fire, but with silence. At the edge of the galaxy, entire star systems simply stopped existing. The Void Devourers had arrived in force, and they were hungry. Dr. Kim Daeho stood on the bridge of Fortress Prime, watching the tactical displays with growing dread. Each red dot that disappeared represented billions of lives consumed in an instant. "How many?" he asked quietly. General Nam Sujin checked her reports. 17 systems in the past day. They're moving faster than during the last war. "They've learned," said Dr. Shianarium. The Heritage Keeper now stood beside them in person, having been brought to the fortress when her ancient station was threatened. 50,000 years to study our reality. They understand us better now. Through the vast windows of the fortress, they could see the combined fleet of the galaxy. Human ships with their flowing organic designs flew alongside the geometric vessels of the Altarians. Rigelian warships, all angles and sharp edges, formed up with the round, peaceful-looking craft of the Vegans. "It's beautiful," said Ambassador Velthari. The crystal being had insisted on joining the human command staff, claiming his people had a debt to repay. "And doomed," added Elder Bei Hyunwoo. The ancient human had been awakened from the deepest stasis chambers beneath Earth just days before. He was the last surviving member of humanity's original High Council, the group that had made the decision to initiate the Great Forgetting. His presence was both inspiring and terrifying. He remembered the last war in perfect detail. "The combined fleet has 12,000 ships," reported Captain Lim Dong-yun. "The Devourers have more." "How many more?" asked Commander Yoon Sora. "Hard to count something that exists partially outside reality," Lim replied. "But our sensors suggest at least 100,000 entities." Dr. Oh Sunmi looked up from her genetic analysis station. "The awakening is complete. Every human in the galaxy has regained their full mental capacity. The modification genes in allied species are also fully active." "Are we stronger than before?" Daeho asked. "Different," Bei replied. 50,000 years of guided evolution has changed us. We're more cooperative now, better at working with other species, less likely to make the same mistakes we made during the First War." "What mistakes?" Velthari asked. "Pride," Bei said simply. "We thought we could fight them alone. We sent the younger species away for their own safety and tried to handle everything ourselves." "And you lost," Sora observed. "We didn't lose. We just chose a different kind of victory." The first wave of Devourers entered the galaxy's core region like a tide of living darkness. They moved between stars faster than light itself, consuming matter and energy and leaving nothing behind but empty space. "All ships, this is Fortress Prime," Nam announced over the communication system. "Execute Protocol Genesis." The combined fleet moved into formation. Human ships took the center, their reality anchors creating stable zones where the Devourers could not simply consume matter directly. Allied ships formed protective rings around them, their weapons modified with human technology to actually damage entities that existed partially outside normal spacetime. "Devourers entering weapons range," reported the Altarian fleet commander. "Fire," Nam ordered. The battle began with light, streams of coherent energy designed to disrupt the Devourers' connection to reality. For a moment, it seemed to work. Several of the dark entities flickered and faded. Then they adapted. "They're learning our weapons," Lim reported. "Dimensional disruption is becoming less effective." "Switch to Protocol Harmony," Bei ordered. This was humanity's secret weapon. Instead of fighting the Devourers directly, the combined fleet began to sing. Every ship in the formation broadcast a specific frequency, a harmonic resonance that Ariam's people had discovered during the First War. The sound was not audible to normal ears, but it vibrated through the fabric of reality itself. The Devourers paused. For the first time in their existence, they seemed confused. "It's working," O reported excitedly. "The harmonic frequency is disrupting their quantum coherence." But the victory was temporary. The Devourers began to adapt to the resonance, changing their own frequency to match. "They're too smart," Velthari said. "They learn too quickly." "Then we don't give them time to learn," Daeho said. He activated the fortress's main communication system, broadcasting to every ship in the combined fleet. "All vessels, prepare for dimensional translation. We're taking the fight to them." "To where?" asked the Vegan commander. "Their source," Bei replied. "The original reality they came from." The plan was insane. Instead of defending their own reality, They would attack the Devourers in their home dimension. It was a one-way trip. Once they crossed over, they might never return. The younger species should stay here, suggested the Centaurian admiral. No, Velthari said firmly. We go together or not at all. That's what being allies means. One by one, the fleets of the galaxy voted to follow humanity into the unknown. Even species that had been angry about the deception chose to trust the humans who had guided them for 50,000 years. The dimensional translation began with a sound like reality tearing. Space around the combined fleet began to twist and fold, creating a passage into the realm where the Devourers originated. What they found on the other side defied description. It was a universe where entropy had won, where everything was in the process of being consumed by infinite hunger. The Devourers were not invaders. They were antibodies trying to prevent their own reality from completely dying. They're not evil, O whispered, studying the readings. They're desperate. Understanding them doesn't make them less dangerous, Nam replied. They're still trying to consume our reality to save their own. Then we give them a better option, Deho said. He activated Fortress Prime's ultimate system, the reality generator. It was technology that humanity had developed in secret, something that could create new dimensions instead of just traveling between existing ones. What are you doing? Aryam asked. Creating a new universe for them, Deho explained. One that's already in the state they need. One they can inhabit without having to consume our reality to get it. The process was enormous, requiring the combined power of every ship in the fleet. Human vessels provided the dimensional framework. Altarian ships contributed quantum stabilization. The Rigelians added temporal anchoring. Every species in the Alliance contributed something essential. As the new reality took shape, the Devourers stopped their attack. They seemed to sense what was happening, and for the first time, they communicated directly with the combined fleet. The message was not in words, but in pure emotion, gratitude, wonder, relief. They accept, Velthari translated. They're moving into the new dimension. One by one, the Devourers crossed over into the reality that had been created for them. As they did, their hunger faded. They were no longer dying entities trying desperately to survive. They were beings with a home where they belonged. The last Devourer to cross over paused at the dimensional barrier. It sent another message. This time it felt like an apology. They're sorry, O said, tears in her eyes. They never wanted to hurt anyone. They were just trying to survive. We know, Deho replied. That's why we helped. When the battle was over, the combined fleet found itself changed. The cooperation required to create a new reality had forged bonds between the species that would last for millennia. What happens now? Asked the Vegan commander. Now we build something better than what came before, Bay replied. The first galactic civilization was led by humanity alone. This one will be led by all of us together. The Galactic Federation was reformed as a true alliance of equals. Humanity shared their ancient knowledge freely, no longer hiding their heritage. In return, the younger species brought fresh perspectives and new ideas that had developed during humanity's long sleep. Dr. Kim Deho found himself appointed as the first director of the Heritage Academy, a new institution where humans and aliens worked together to explore the galaxy's mysteries. His first student was Ambassador Velthari, who wanted to learn everything about dimensional science. You know, Velthari said as they stood in the Academy's observatory, watching new ships launch toward unexplored regions of space. I'm glad you are older than you pretended to be. Why? Deho asked. Because age brings wisdom, and wisdom is what we needed to solve this problem without destroying anyone. Dr. Shin Aryam, now serving as the Academy's chief heritage keeper, joined them at the window. The ancient humans were powerful, she said. But these humans, the ones who chose cooperation over domination, they are wise. And the galaxy is better for it, Velthari agreed. As they watched, a mixed crew of humans and aliens launched toward the galactic rim, where new civilizations were just beginning to develop intelligence. But this time, humanity would not guide them alone. This time, it would be a galaxy-wide effort to help new species grow and thrive. The age of humanity's solitude was over. The age of galactic cooperation had begun, and in the distance, in a dimension created by the combined effort of dozens of species, the former void devourers lived peacefully in a reality suited to their nature, no longer hungry, no longer desperate, Everyone had found their place in the vast community of space. The heritage was not just humanity's anymore. It belonged to all of them. The emergency session of the Galactic Federation Council was unlike anything in their recorded history. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the great hall on the neutral world of Kepler Prime. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Velthari, presenting evidence that shattered everything they thought they knew. "The humans have been lying to us," he announced, his crystal form flickering with agitated light. "Their archaeological records are false. Their evolutionary history is manufactured. They are not a young species." Dr. Kim Deho stood at the human delegation table, feeling the weight of thousands of alien eyes upon him. Beside him, Director Im Jihye remained calm despite the chaos erupting around them. "How long?" demanded the Rigelian representative, her reptilian features twisted in anger. "How long have you been deceiving us?" 50,000 years, Deho said simply. The hall erupted. Some species shouted accusations of betrayal, others demanded proof. A few sat in stunned silence trying to process the implications. "Impossible," roared the Centaurian ambassador. "We have civilizations older than that." "You do," Im agreed. "Because we helped you build them." Dr. Oh Sunmi stepped forward carrying a data tablet filled with genetic analysis. "The proof is in your own DNA," she announced. "Every species in this hall carries genetic markers showing guided evolution, artificial acceleration of natural development." "You're saying you created us?" asked a small furry delegate from the Vegan system. "Not created," Deho corrected. "Guided, protected, helped. Humanity found worlds where life was just beginning to develop intelligence, and we gave you a gentle push forward." The Altarian Council leader, an ancient being even older than Velthari, stood slowly. "The Makers," he whispered. "The legends speak of the Makers who helped the first civilizations grow. We were never gone," Im said. "We were just sleeping." Captain Lim Dongyun chose that moment to make his entrance. The doors to the council hall opened, and he walked in wearing a uniform unlike anything the Federation had seen. Behind him marched a squad of humans in armor that seemed to bend light around it. "And now we're awake," he announced. The hall fell silent. Lim activated a holographic projector, showing images of ships hidden throughout the galaxy. Vessels that dwarfed Federation dreadnoughts, their sleek forms obviously far more advanced than anything the known civilizations possessed. "The Eternal Fleet," he said simply, "built with technology we preserved from before the forgetting, hidden and waiting for the day we would need them again. That day has come," Deho added. He gestured and the display changed to show the galaxy's edge, where dark shapes moved between the stars. "The Void Devourers have returned." The temperature in the hall seemed to drop. Several delegates gasped. Others looked confused. "What are Void Devourers?" asked the Syrian representative. Dr. Shin Ariam materialized as a hologram beside the display. The Heritage Keeper had been connected to the meeting from the ancient station. "They are the reason we disappeared," she said. "Entities from outside reality that consume matter and energy, turning everything into emptiness. 50,000 years ago they nearly destroyed the galaxy. Why should we believe you?" demanded the Rigelian delegate. Ariam's expression was sad but patient. "Because they have already begun. 3 outer rim colonies went silent in the past week. The Kepler Observatory detected massive energy drains in the Sagittarius arm. They are consuming worlds just as they did before." Captain Lim displayed tactical information showing the Devourers' approach. "Our deep space sensors indicate approximately 6 months before they reach the core worlds. Federation weapons cannot stop them. But yours can?" Velthari asked. "Some of them. The dimensional disruptors we developed during the last war. The reality anchors that prevent them from consuming matter directly. But it won't be enough." "Then what do you propose?" asked the council leader. Im stepped forward. "Full disclosure. Complete cooperation. We share all our preserved technology with the Federation. You help us wake the remaining Heritage Keepers and reactivate our old defense networks." "And in return?" the Centaurian ambassador asked suspiciously. "We save the galaxy," Deho said simply. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some species were outraged at humanity's deception. Others were fascinated by the implications. The Altarians, being the oldest continuous civilization, were the first to accept the truth. "We remember the Makers in our oldest legends," their leader said. "Stories of wise guardians who helped young species grow. If you are the Makers returned, then we welcome you." The Vegans were more practical. Show us these weapons that can fight the Devourers. Lim smiled and activated another display. This one showed a massive space station appearing in the empty space between galaxies. It looked like it was built from crystallized starlight, all flowing curves and impossible angles. Fortress Prime, he announced, the ultimate defense against the Devourers, built in a pocket dimension where they cannot follow. How many of these fortresses do you have? Asked the Syrian delegate. 12 scattered throughout the galaxy. All of them are now coming online. But not everyone was convinced. The Rigelian representative stood angrily. You expect us to just accept this? To trust the species that has been lying to us since first contact? We expect you to survive, Im said bluntly. With or without your cooperation, humanity will fight the Devourers. But we would prefer to fight alongside our friends rather than alone. General Nam Sujin chose that moment to address the council. She appeared as a hologram, broadcasting from the bridge of humanity's flagship. The awakening is accelerating, she reported. Humans across the galaxy are remembering. Our hidden bases are activating. The Eternal Fleet is taking position. How many humans are there, really? Velthari asked. More than you think, Nam replied. We never all went to Earth. Some stayed hidden on colony worlds, maintaining minimal technology, waiting for the call to return. Sleeper agents, the Centaurian said accusingly. Guardians, Diho corrected. Watchers who made sure the younger species developed safely while we were gone. The revelation that humans had been secretly present throughout the galaxy for 50,000 years sent another wave of shock through the council. Some delegates looked around nervously, wondering if the humans they knew were more than they seemed. Dr. Osunmi activated her genetic scanner and ran it over the assembly. The awakening is affecting everyone, she announced. All species carry dormant genetic modifications that humanity made long ago. As human mental abilities return to full strength, those modifications are activating in allied species as well. What kind of modifications? Asked the Vegan delegate, suddenly worried. Intelligence boosters, intuition enhancers, pattern recognition improvements. Nothing harmful, O assured them. Just upgrades that humanity gave your ancestors to help them survive and thrive. You've been controlling our evolution for 50,000 years? The Rigelian demanded. Not controlling, Im said firmly. Guiding, protecting. The same way parents help children grow without controlling their choices. And now the children are grown, Ariam added from her hologram. The Federation has become strong enough to face the truth and fight alongside us as equals. The council leader called for order as arguments broke out across the hall. Enough. The question before us is simple. Do we work with humanity to face this threat, or do we face it alone? Velthari stood slowly. My people have studied the evidence. The genetic markers are real. The hidden technology is real, and... He paused, his crystal form dimming with memory. The Devourers are real too. Our oldest records speak of the dark time, when entire sectors went silent for no reason anyone could understand. You remember, Ariam said softly. We all remember, if we look deep enough in our histories, the time when the Makers vanished and the galaxy grew cold and dangerous. Then you know what we face, Deho said, and you know that together, we have a chance. Apart we all die. The vote was close, but it passed. The Galactic Federation would work with humanity to face the Void Devourers. But as the council session ended, Lim received an urgent communication that made his face go pale. What is it? Im asked. Long-range scouts report the Devourers have accelerated their approach. They're not taking 6 months to reach the core worlds. How long do we have? Lim looked around at the assembled delegates, many still arguing about humanity's revelations. 6 weeks, maybe less. The research ship Sejong cut through space toward the Centauri system like a knife through silk. Dr. Kim Daeho stared out at the stars and tried to make sense of what they might find. Ancient human structures in a system no human had ever visited. It made no sense. Dr. Choi Mina sat across from him, reviewing the survey team's reports on her tablet. She was the best archaeologist on Earth, but even she looked confused. The images are clear, she said. The structure is definitely artificial. And those symbols, I've seen some of them in Egyptian tombs. Others look Sumerian, but they're arranged in patterns we've never seen before. Engineer Han Jiho looked up from his own work. The energy readings are off the charts. Whatever built that station had power sources we can't even imagine. Commander Yoon Sora entered the observation lounge, her military boots clicking on the metal floor. We'll reach the site in 6 hours. I've ordered maximum security protocols. If that thing is really as advanced as the reports say, we need to be careful. Careful of what? Taeho asked. It's been dead for thousands of years. Has it? Sora replied. The survey team detected power signatures. Faint but present. Whatever's in there might not be completely dead. When they arrived at the coordinates, everyone fell silent. The structure floating in space was enormous. It looked like someone had built a crystal city in the void, all towers and bridges connecting different sections. But the crystal was black, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. My God, Mina whispered. It's beautiful. The station was easily 10 times larger than New Seoul Station. Its design was unlike anything humans had ever built, but somehow it felt familiar. Like a half-remembered dream. I'm detecting atmosphere inside, Jiho reported. Oxygen, nitrogen, normal pressure. It's like it's been waiting for us. That's impossible, Sora said. How could it maintain atmosphere for thousands of years? Maybe it hasn't been thousands of years, Taeho said quietly. They docked with the station through what looked like a natural airlock. The moment they stepped inside, lights began to glow along the walls. Soft, warm light that felt welcoming rather than threatening. The corridors were built for humans. The ceiling height, the door sizes, even the handholds along the walls, everything was perfectly sized for human use. This doesn't make sense, Mina said as they walked deeper into the station. If humans built this, where are the records? Where are the stories? How do we not remember building something this amazing? The walls were covered in symbols. Some Taeho recognized from ancient Earth cultures. Others were completely unknown, but they all seemed to be pointing toward the center of the station. It's like a map, Jiho said. Everything is directing us toward the core. They followed the symbols through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The station was not just big, it was vast. Room after room, level after level, all perfectly preserved and waiting. Finally, they reached the central chamber. It was a sphere about 50 meters across, with walls that looked like they were made of living metal. In the center stood a pedestal with what looked like a control panel. I'm reading DNA scanners, Jiho reported. The whole chamber is set up to respond to human genetic markers. Should we risk it? Sora asked. Mina was already walking toward the pedestal. We came here to find answers. We won't get them by standing around being scared. She placed her hand on the scanner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire chamber came alive. Holographic displays appeared in the air around them. Images of humans in advanced spacesuits working alongside alien species none of them had ever seen. Ships that looked like they were grown rather than built. Colonies on worlds that sparkled like jewels. This is impossible, Sora breathed. But the images kept coming. Humans commanding fleets of vessels that dwarfed modern ships. Cities in space that housed millions of people. Technology that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Then came the star maps. Dozens of systems all connected by lines of light. And at many of those systems, symbols indicating human colonies. The dates on the maps made Taeho's head spin. 50,000 years ago, he whispered. These maps show human colonies 50,000 years ago. But that's before recorded history, Mina said. Before farming. Before civilization. The hologram changed, showing what looked like a war. Vast, dark shapes moving between the stars, consuming everything in their path. Human fleets fighting desperately against an enemy that seemed to eat light itself. The Void Devourers, a voice said behind them. They spun around. A section of the wall had opened, revealing a chamber filled with crystalline pods. One of them was glowing with soft blue light. Who's there? Sora demanded, her hand moving to her weapon. I am Dr. Shin Arium, the voice said. Heritage Keeper, 3rd class. I have been waiting for you to return. The glowing pod began to open with a soft hiss. Inside, a woman who looked about 30 years old was sitting up, blinking in the light. She was clearly human, but her clothes were made of materials they had never seen. Return? Taeho asked. We've never been here before. Arium smiled sadly. Not you personally, but your species. We have been waiting for humanity to develop enough to find us again. Again? Mina stepped closer. What do you mean again? The great forgetting, Arium said, standing up from the pod with fluid grace. We had to make humanity forget. It was the only way to save them. She walked to the holographic display and touched one of the controls. The images changed, showing Earth as they had never seen it. Not the primitive world of ancient history, but a gleaming center of galactic civilization. Humanity did not evolve on Earth, Ariam said simply. We returned there when the choice became clear. Fight the Devourers and face extinction or hide and survive. This is insane, Sora said. You're saying humans once ruled the galaxy? Not ruled, Ariam corrected. Guided, protected. We were the first to achieve true faster-than-light travel. The first to develop dimensional manipulation. We helped younger species grow and learn. Then what happened? Jiho asked. Ariam's face darkened. The Devourers came from outside our reality. They consumed entire star systems, turning matter and energy into emptiness. We fought them for centuries, but they were too strong. The hologram showed the final battles. Human ships and their alien allies fighting desperately against the approaching darkness. System after system going dark as the Devourers consumed them. Our leaders made a terrible choice, Ariam continued. We could not win by fighting. So we chose to disappear. The greatest human scientists worked together to create the Forgetting Protocol. What's that? Taeho asked, though he was afraid of the answer. We wiped our own memories, destroyed our own technology, scattered our people across the galaxy and made them forget who they were. Then we went back to Earth and became primitive again. Why? So the Devourers would think we were extinct. So they would stop hunting us and move on to other realities. Ariam looked at each of them. It worked. For 50,000 years it worked. But now we're back in space, Mina said. We have FTL drives again. Yes, and the Devourers have noticed. Ariam touched the controls again. The display showed the edge of the galaxy, where dark shapes were beginning to move between the stars once more. They are coming back, she said simply. The scouts have already begun their search, and this time humanity might not be able to hide. Sora's communication device buzzed urgently. She glanced at it and went pale. What is it? Daiho asked. Message from Earth. The Federation delegation is demanding to know why we left so suddenly. They're asking questions about our history. Uncomfortable questions, Ariam nodded. They are beginning to suspect. The younger species always do eventually. They see inconsistencies in your development, contradictions in your archaeological record. What do we do? Mina asked. We prepare, Ariam said. The Heritage Keepers left instructions, hidden sites, sleeping guardians throughout the galaxy. It is time to wake them up. She looked directly at Daiho. It is time for humanity to remember who they really are. Back on Earth, Ambassador Velthari was becoming suspicious. He walked through the halls of New Sol Station, studying the humans around him. Something about their behavior did not match what he expected from a young species. Dr. Kim Daiho had been gone for 3 days now, supposedly dealing with an emergency in the outer system. But the Federation's sensors had detected unusual energy signatures from the direction of Centauri. Ancient energy signatures. Commander, Velthari said to his aide, run a deep scan of Earth's archaeological records. Something feels wrong here. On the research ship Sejong, Dr. Shin Ariam was teaching them things that changed everything they thought they knew about humanity. Your species did not start on Earth, she explained as they sat in the station's central chamber. Humanity began in what you now call the Andromeda Galaxy. We were explorers, scientists, builders. We loved to discover new things and help other species grow. Dr. Choi Mina listened with growing amazement. But the fossil record on Earth shows human evolution over millions of years. The records were changed, Ariam said simply. When we initiated the Great Forgetting, we had to make it complete. We altered genetic markers, planted false fossils, created an entire fake history. It had to be perfect, or the Devourers would have found us. Engineer Han Jiho looked up from the alien technology he was studying. This equipment is incredible. The power systems alone are centuries ahead of anything we have. Millennia, Ariam corrected. Your current technology is deliberately limited. We left genetic locks in your DNA that prevent you from fully understanding advanced science until the right time. Genetic locks? Commander Yoon Sora asked. Think of it as a safety switch built into every human brain. It prevents you from accessing certain memories and abilities until specific conditions are met. The locks are beginning to break now because humanity has reached the stars again. As if on cue, Daiho felt a strange sensation in his mind, like a door opening that he had never known was there. Suddenly, the alien symbols on the walls made sense. He could read them. The awakening has begun, Ariam said, noticing his expression. Soon, humans across the galaxy will start remembering. Not everything, that would drive most people insane, but enough. Meanwhile, On Earth, Admiral Kang Taewon was having an emergency meeting with Director Im Ji-hye in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. The room was filled with artifacts that most humans had never seen. Technology that seemed to blend science and art in impossible ways. The heritage keepers are awakening, Im said. We're getting signals from sites across the galaxy. Sites that have been dormant for 50,000 years. Taewon nodded grimly. And the Federation is getting suspicious. Velthari's people are running deep scans of our archaeological records. They'll find the inconsistencies soon. How long do we have? Im asked. Days, maybe hours. Taewon activated a holographic display showing ships hidden throughout the solar system. It's time to reveal the real fleet. Im stared at the display. Dozens of ships unlike anything the Federation had seen. Sleek, powerful, and built with technology that humanity was not supposed to have. The Eternal Fleet, she whispered. I hoped we would never need them. The Devourers are moving again, Taewon said. Our deep space monitors detected them yesterday. Scout ships at the Galactic Rim consuming outer colonies. We have perhaps 6 months before they reach the core worlds. Back on the ancient station, Ariam was explaining humanity's greatest secret. Your species was not just advanced, she said. You were the first. The very first intelligent species to evolve in this reality. For millions of years you were alone among the stars. That's impossible, Mina said. The galaxy is full of intelligent life. Because you created it, Ariam replied. Not directly, you did not make the other species. But you found primitive worlds and helped life develop faster. You shared knowledge, provided protection, guided evolution. Every intelligent species in this galaxy exists because humanity helped them along the way. The implications hit them like a physical blow. Every alien species they had met, every member of the Galactic Federation, they all owed their existence to humanity's ancient guidance. Why don't they know? Jiho asked. Because we erased those records too. When the Great Forgetting began, we had to make sure no trace of human involvement remained. So we changed the histories of every species we had helped. We made them believe they had developed naturally on their own. The Federation thinks they're older than us, Sora said. They are, in terms of continuous civilization. When we went into hiding, they continued to grow and develop. Some of them built great empires while humanity was hiding in caves on Earth, learning to make fire all over again. On Earth, Velthari was studying the results of his deep scan with growing alarm. The inconsistencies were everywhere once you knew what to look for. Metal alloys in ancient artifacts that should not have existed. Genetic markers that made no evolutionary sense. Archaeological layers that seemed to have been artificially created. This is impossible, he told his aide. Either these humans are lying about their history or what, Ambassador? Or they are far older than they claim to be. His aide looked confused. But that would mean they are older than us. Older than the Federation itself. Yes, Velthari said quietly. It would. He activated his communication device. Get me a direct channel to the Federation Council. Priority Alpha. Back on the station, Daeho was experiencing more of the awakening. Knowledge flowed into his mind like water filling an empty cup. He could suddenly understand technology that had baffled him moments before. Mathematical concepts that had been impossible now seemed simple. It's overwhelming, he told Ariam. The first awakening always is. But you will adapt. Humanity always adapts, she smiled. It is one of your greatest strengths. What happens now? Mina asked. Do we tell the Federation the truth? That decision is not mine to make, Ariam said. But I can tell you this. They will find out soon whether you tell them or not. The genetic locks are breaking across your entire species. Humans on 1,000 worlds are beginning to remember things they never learned. Sora's communication device buzzed with an urgent message from Earth. She read it and looked up with wide eyes. Admiral Taewon is recalling. All human personnel from Federation facilities. Immediate evacuation. It has begun, Ariam said. The revelation phase of the Heritage Protocol. Your leaders have decided it is time for truth. What will the Federation do when they learn? Jiho asked. Ariam's expression grew sad. Some will be grateful. They will remember the legends of the Makers and realize they were legends of humanity. Others will be angry, feeling deceived and manipulated. And some will be afraid, Daeho finished. Yes, they will remember why humanity disappeared in the first place. They will realize that if we hid from something, that something must be truly terrible. As if summoned by her words, Alarms began sounding throughout the station. The holographic displays showed the edges of the galaxy, where dark shapes were moving between the stars. "The Devourers," Ariam whispered. "They have found us again." The shapes on the display were like holes in reality itself, consuming light and matter wherever they passed. And they were moving toward the galaxy's core, toward the young civilizations that had grown in humanity's absence. "How long do we have?" Sora asked. Ariam studied the display with the eyes of someone who had seen this before. 6 months. Maybe less. "And the Federation has no idea what's coming," Deho said. "None at all. Their weapons are useless against the Devourers. Their shields cannot stop them. Only humanity has the knowledge and technology to fight them." "Then we have to tell them everything," Mina said. "Yes," Ariam agreed, "and hope they listen before it's too late." The massive alien ship appeared outside Earth's orbit like a silver jewel against the black sky. Dr. Kim Deho watched from the observation deck of New Seoul Station as the vessel approached. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. This was it. First contact with an alien civilization. The ship was beautiful. It looked like someone had carved it from a single piece of crystal, all smooth curves and glowing edges. Nothing like the rough metal boxes humans built. Deho adjusted his translator device and checked his uniform one more time. As Earth's lead scientist for this meeting, he had to make a good impression. Captain Park Nari stood beside him, her military uniform crisp and clean. "They're requesting permission to dock," she said. "Should I give them Bay 7? "Yes," Deho replied. "And Captain? Remember what we discussed. Let them talk first. We need to understand what they want." The alien delegation was led by someone who called himself Ambassador Velthari. He looked like a tall human made of living crystal, with light flowing under his skin like water. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. "Greetings, young ones," Velthari said as he stepped off his ship. "We welcome you to the galaxy, young ones." Deho noticed the words but kept his face neutral. Li Wujin, their cultural expert, stepped forward with a bow. "We are honored by your visit," Wujin said carefully. "We hope this is the beginning of a long friendship." Velthari's crystal face somehow managed to look amused. "Indeed. It is always pleasant to meet a species taking their first steps among the stars. The Galactic Federation has protocols for such meetings." They moved to the station's main conference room. The walls showed images of Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. Velthari looked at them with what seemed like fondness. "A lovely world," he said. "Very similar to Altair Prime when my people were young." "Tell me, how long has your species existed?" Wujin had prepared for this question. "Our recorded history goes back about 12,000 years. But we know our ancestors lived much longer than that." 12,000 years of records," Velthari repeated. "Very good for such a young race. My people have kept records for over 500,000 years. The oldest species in the Federation have records going back millions." The other aliens in his group nodded. They looked like different types of crystals. Some blue, some green, some white as snow. All of them seemed to glow with their own inner light. "We understand you recently developed faster than light travel," another alien said. "Impressive. Most species take at least 10,000 years after developing farming to reach the stars." "Actually," Captain Park said, "we've been in space for over 400 years. We just developed FTL drives 20 years ago." 20 years. Velthari seemed delighted. "Remarkable speed. Your species shows great promise. This is why the Federation offers assistance to young races." Deho felt a flash of irritation at being called young again, but he pushed it down. "What kind of assistance?" "Standard packages," Velthari explained. "Basic trade agreements. Simple technology exchanges. We might share some medical knowledge. Perhaps improved farming techniques. Nothing too advanced, of course. Young species must develop at their own pace." "Of course," Deho said quietly. The meeting continued for hours. The aliens spoke about the galaxy like teachers talking to children. They explained how the Federation worked, how different species traded with each other, and how young races could slowly earn more privileges as they proved themselves. "The key," Velthari said, "is patience. Your species is barely out of its home system. In a few thousand years, when you have colonies on dozens of worlds, then we can discuss more advanced partnerships." During a break, Captain Park pulled Deho aside. "Are you getting the same feeling I am? That they think we're babies who just learned to walk?" Deho said. "Yes, it's insulting," Park muttered. We put men on the moon over 400 years ago. We've been exploring space since before some of their old species even discovered fire. Easy, Deho warned. We need to learn more about them before we start any arguments. When the meeting resumed, Wu Jin presented humanity's history. He showed pictures of ancient civilizations, Egyptian pyramids, Roman roads, Chinese palaces. The aliens listened politely like adults watching a child's school play. Very impressive development, Velthari said. Your species has grown remarkably fast. From simple farming to space travel in only 12,000 years. Most impressive. What's the fastest any species has developed? Wu Jin asked. The aliens exchanged glances. The makers, one of them said quietly. But they vanished long ago. No one knows what happened to them. How fast did they develop? The records are unclear, Velthari said. Some say they reached the stars in only a few thousand years. Others claim they were always advanced. But those are just legends now. The meeting was winding down when Captain Park's communication device buzzed. She glanced at it and her face went pale. Excuse me, she said. I need to take this. She stepped outside. Through the conference room's windows, Deho could see her talking urgently to someone on her device. Her face grew more shocked with each word. When she returned, she looked like she had seen a ghost. Ambassador, she said to Velthari. I apologize, but we need to end today's meeting. Something urgent has come up. Velthari looked concerned. I hope nothing is wrong. Young species sometimes face unexpected challenges. Nothing we can't handle, Park said, but her voice was tight. After the aliens left, promising to return the next day, the three humans gathered in Park's private office. What happened? Deho demanded. Park sat down heavily. The Deep Space Survey team found something in the Centauri system. Something impossible. What kind of impossible? Wu Jin asked. A space station. Massive. Ancient. And it's covered in symbols that match hieroglyphs from Earth. Deho felt the world spin around him. That's not possible. Humans have never been to Centauri. That's what I thought, Park said. But the survey team is sure. The symbols are human. Ancient human languages mixed with star charts. And the technology, she paused. The technology is more advanced than anything the Federation has. How much more advanced? Deho whispered. Centuries, maybe millennia. Park looked at both of them. Gentlemen, I think our new alien friends might be wrong about how young humanity is. Outside the windows, the alien ship hung in space like a crystal lighthouse. But now it looked smaller somehow, less impressive. And in the darkness beyond, ancient secrets waited to change everything humanity thought they knew about themselves.